All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I am so excited to be here. So excited to see you all here to learn more about Data Cloud, how Salesforce is solving the experience challenge, as we say these days. I want to begin by saying a big thank you. This is a classic way of starting presentation in Salesforce because it's the audience like you which propel us to innovate more. Today, for example, last month we launched autonomous bots, which are called Agent Force. It's because of the trailblazers like you from where we get the feedback. My name is Ritesh Chauhan, and I'm part of the solution engineering team in Salesforce India. I've been involved with Salesforce for the last 6 years, and of late, what I'm seeing is Indian market and Indian companies are also rising to the challenge of data and AI. And this is the first time I've seen something of this sort which is happening. So I want to begin by making a very bold statement that we live in a different world. The ground beneath us is changing, it's shaking. Right? It's because of the, explosion of data on one hand and the democratization of AI which is happening right now. Never ever in the past we have seen the power of AI in the hands of common man. This is the first time which we are seeing. This unprecedented march of data and AI is revolutionizing every aspect of our life. So 20 years ago, there were just, 15 million PCs? Today we have 1.5 million devices. Just the mobile phones. And if I include all the devices, there are close to 125 billion devices today in the world. What does it mean? It means that we are generating more data than ever. It means that we are more connected than ever. And it also means that we are exhibiting, or we are forced to exhibit, a behavior which has never been seen by anyone. Right? Similarly, if you look at AI, ever since ChatGPT exploded on the stage, it took mobile 6 years to reach 100 million users. It took Instagram, I believe, 12 months to reach 100 million users. It took 2 months for ChatGPT to take to 100 million users. So the changes are happening at a very drastic pace. So I would not be lying or over-exaggerating if I say that we are living in a data and AI revolution. The convergence of data and AI is revolutionizing markets, countries, economies, industries, and opening up avenues for creativity and innovation. And as Sam Altman says, we might be entering the golden era of innovation and creativity. It's all because of the power of AI. So at Salesforce, we believe that we are in the third way of AI. There was the generative AI, there was the predictive AI, and today we have something called the autonomous agents, which means these agents can reason out with your end consumers, looking at the data which you have. You don't have to train them. They learn on their own. They reason out with the customer and give the right solution. That's what the third wave of AI is. But why are we talking about this? It's because of the experience. Everybody is demanding experience. The normal span of a customer on mobile phone is just 9 seconds. So brands are not after your share of wallet. They are after your share of attention. In fact, 80% of the marketers which we surveyed believed that personalization is going to be a very important piece going forward. You make one mistake, and the consumer is ready to shift its loyalty. That's how tough experience or personalized experience has become. So we are all living in this experienced economy, right? And consumer is in the driving state, which means they demand this one-on-one customer experience. You cannot have one size fit all. But what is at stake? How many times it has happened that you have called a brand through multiple channels only to explain yourself again and again? How many times you have waited on IVR just to know that the agent who speaks from the other side says that he doesn't know the problem? How many times have you received emails which do not make sense? So the stake is very high. You always feel, at times it happens with brands, you always feel that you have been transferred from one department to the other, doesn't it? That, you were acquired by some department, now you are being serviced by some department. So nobody has that single source of truth, that elusive single source of truth which we keep talking about. As a matter of fact, the number one reason people leave a brand is because of the experience. It's mainly because of the experience. But what if you get everything right? What are the stakes? What is the treasure you can unlock? So if you have a connected journey, if your end consumer feel connected right from the time, whether you are engaging, whether you are acquiring, or whether you are doing something to make them a loyal customer, if they feel connected, you can reap benefits which is 45% more than the average brand, and that is what is at stake. But why do brands struggle? Right? It's all because of one major piece, which is data. How do you create this holistic, connected, one-on-one journey with your end consumer? That's the biggest question. Well, at Salesforce, there are three major steps. Connect all your departments, which means connect all your data which you have. For too long, the data have resided in these applications. Your lakes have become swamps, right? Your contact center doesn't know what to speak with the end consumer. Your emails are irrelevant. So you need to focus on the first major piece, which is how do you connect every department? You cannot have a single source of truth for service. You cannot have a single source of truth for marketing, and similarly for sales. You just need to have one single source of truth, which can then ingest all these signals which the end consumer is having with your brand, and then pass on the intelligence to other channels and applications. The second piece is, again, I just spoke about, very, very important, and will tell you how Salesforce is solving this. Now, this is the third piece. I think in the previous session, we heard a lot about personalized experience, chatbot being one of them. But if you have harnessed the data and AI, is your platform or the system is connected with your end consumer? That's, again, one of the major questions. So the data resides in silos, and that is where the value resides. Your applications are not talking to your warehouses not talking to lakes, and your end consumer is suffering. So this is how it goes. Data not talking to each other, intelligence suffers, there's a breakup of intelligence, and then the experience suffers. Right? And then data exists in different formats. On an average, there are close to 15 to 20 applications which are being used by enterprises. Now, within these applications, I might appear as a CRM ID. If you're using marketing, I might appear as a subscriber ID, and otherwise I might appear as a contact center ID. It happens in different formats, different structures, so data is becoming a huge problem. In fact, some people call it, there's a famous saying, right? The entire world is a huge, huge problem these days. Let me now introduce the Rahul Dravid of Salesforce, or the hero of this presentation, which is none other than Data Cloud. So at Salesforce, we realized that companies were having a lot of technical debt. If you ask any company or any enterprise, they will say they can name all the warehouses, all the lakes, all these applications. But if you ask them, are you able to retain your customer, you get very difficult answers. Nobody has a data strategy. Everybody wants to move straight to the AI strategy, but first we need to make your data strategy straight. In fact, there are three major strategies: your data strategy, your AI strategy, and then your AI activation strategy. So with Data Cloud, you can connect every sort of data, structured, unstructured, semi-structured, through the connectors which it has, and we'll talk about more. And then you can unify it. That single source of truth which I was talking about, which is one single source across all your department, be it sales, service, marketing, and commerce. And then this is the important piece. Activate your data. Right? Once you have all this data, the second piece, the second thing which you want to do is derive value out of it. Generally, what we have seen is it is being done in silos. You will have one team who will have no idea what your data science is doing, and then you will have, for example, your sales team who do not know what the customer was experiencing on the website. Can you take those insights and maybe get a better experience? So the second piece is how do you activate your dead data? Not on just channels, not on emails, but how can you make your agent know what is the next best action? How can your sales guy become more contextual when he's speaking to your end consumer? And the final piece is, again, as I said, AI is useless without data, and data is worthless without AI. Till the time you clear the data piece, you cannot have a trusted AI. And that's what Data Cloud is doing for organization ever since we launched it, Data Cloud 2 years back. Now, how does it work? Well, on the left-hand side, what you see is, all these lakes, warehouses, data coming real time, in batch processes, or in Excel files, whatever way the data, wherever the data resides. Salesforce, what it has done is, it has created these 250 odd connectors, right, which can ingest data in whatever format the data resides, be it structured, semi-structured, or unstructured data as well. Now, once you have all this data, and this data can be in a federated way. So for example, what a beauty is, we have a concept, something called bring your own lake, which means if you have already invested in the likes of Azure, GCP, or AWS, without moving the data, you can still extract all that information and insights from that data, right? And then similarly, once you have this data, you can normalize, standardize, unify this data, and last bit is harmonize. Now, what happens is this data which exists in different formats, Salesforce has created a universal data model, which means data can be ingested in whatever format, it will start making sense to the system. Once it is done, this is the elusive truth which every marketer or every brand is after, which is the single source of truth. You now know what customer was doing on the website, what was being spoken at the contact center, what email was being sent, what that person had in cart. So all this information is flowing either in batch processes or in real time or in federated way. And once you have this, this is where generally all your warehouses, lakes stop. But this is where the magic begins to happen. You can create segmentations. You can create models, predictive, generative. In fact, you can bring your own model. If you have, for example, on SageMaker, you have created a model, you can bring the inference of that model in Data Cloud as well. You can bring your own LLMs as well. Salesforce does have its own large language models, but if you have created, and that's what we are talking about, if you have technical debt, if you have already invested in certain technologies, you do not have to do that again. This is a minus ETL strategy. You extract, load, and then transform the data, right? So you can run analytics, and then this is the important piece, which is grounding of AI. Now, all these large language models, they have learned from internet. If you ask them any questions, the chances are they will give you the answer what they have learned from internet. So it is very pertinent that the output is grounded in your data. Second piece is you don't want LLM to learn from your data. So it is very important that there's no PII information is going out of your platform. It's becoming a big trademark, and toxicity issue over the last 6 or 7 months. That's why you need to have a trusted AI piece. Yes, and then we recently launched autonomous bots, as I said, Agent Force. They are being launched on Data Cloud. So whatever information, see, as I said, if you have laid the foundation for your data using Data Cloud, you can pretty much do anything. So there are bots for sales, which can do your business development activities. They can follow up with your prospects. You have marketing agent forces, which can create subject line, which can create the content of your email messages. They can actually tell you what should be your sales strategy. Right? And as I said, this is an open platform, extensible platform. This is the same platform which you have been using for the last 25 years. We were the first CRM, which moved customers' data on cloud, first company on cloud, and we have remained there ever since. And then, for example, as I said, if you have data residing in your Databricks, Google Cloud, AWS, without moving the data, using something called a federated way of accessing this data, you can create value out of whatever exists in your enterprise. Yes, and then we have strategic partnership with Meta, with Google, and with Amazon, which means once this data flows into Data Cloud, you can get these external affinities or external enriched information from all these giant social platforms. Then we have close to 80 odd partners who are developing different applications on Data Cloud. Yeah. So this I have already spoken about. Zero copy is the name which we give to this process of federated way of accessing data. And then we have around 250 odd connectors, which means the moment you put your username, password, you just need to configure and the data starts flowing in. So the idea always was to give more power to the end user, to marketers, right, to your sales agents, to be able to do something of their own. And then we have something called Einstein Studio within Data Cloud. So we always believe in citizen Einstein, which means you do not have to be dependent on a lot of scientists or data scientists or statisticians. This data platform gives you that capability that by 5 or 6 clicks, you can create predictive models as well. Yep, and this is what I alluded to earlier, which is very important. Every time you send a prompt, right? Prompt is a way where data speaks to the external LLM models. Once they get the output, this is being shown in your application. So you really have to be very, very careful. What is the toxicity? Are you sending your PII data outside or not? Right? So we, for example, have zero retention strategy with all these players, right? Whether it's OpenAI or Azure. Every time the data comes back or the output comes back, we check for toxicity, right? And we check for hallucination. Only then this application or this data flows back into our applications, which are Agentforce and others. So, and then we have zero retention strategy with all these partners. And last but not the least, what we realized was that we are focusing too much on structured data. Everybody keeps talking about structured data, segmentation, predictive models, AI, and whatnot. But 80% of the data resides in your emails, PDFs, on your websites. And that's why we launched something called the vector database for Data Cloud, which means you can extract information from a video file or from a PDF and directly relate it to a profile of a customer. What was being spoken, what is being mentioned in those PDFs, what was the call center agent was saying, all that can be extracted within this platform and can be embedded to these profiles. Now you can imagine how powerful this platform is. So there are essentially 3-4 ways in which you can use Data Cloud. I have already alluded. You can connect different sources of data, different application. You can harmonize, normalize, and again, this is where you do not need too much of IT. This is all drag and drop. You can create segmentation just by typing plain English. You can create copy of the messages by typing English. Yeah, then you can analyze and predict. This is where the value starts to come in. You can, using Einstein Studio and bring your own models. You can start extracting, getting values of those predictions which you want to do. Then you can automate and take actions. And this is where the power of Data Cloud, again, comes to the fore. The Agent Force, which we just launched, is what we have done. You can automate, as I said, these are autonomous agents, different from your assistive agents. They can reason out, look at your data in real time, and reply back. And this grounded trust is what I just spoke about, how critical it is to make sure that AI is grounded in the data which you have, and it is not hallucinating or is not toxic. Yeah, and this is what the platform is, the entire Salesforce platform. We used to be a CRM company. Now we are a data company. And then we changed it to data plus AI. Now we are data, AI, and trust company. So in all, we are data, AI, trust, CRM company. And it is all being powered by Data Cloud over here, which we call the Rahul Dravid of Salesforce. Now, here's the interesting piece. If you really liked what I just mentioned, you can pick up your phones, scan this QR code. You'll get a very interesting ebook with all the use cases and whatever topics I spoke about. So I'll just have, can we have it for 10 seconds, I believe? Yeah, the QR code, and then we can move. Yeah, with that, I just want to say thank you very much for listening patiently. Thank you.